Hey guys, Mary from SVGCuts with some brand new box cards for spring. And if you feel like me at all, you're super excited for spring because it's the next kind of season to look forward to, I think, especially after a long cold winter. It's just nice to get outside, get some fresh air, open the windows, hear the birds, maybe enjoy some gardening if you like that kind of stuff. So I had a lot of fun coming up with some of my favorite elements of spring in a box card form. So as you can see, we have a nice bird's nest, and if you're not familiar with box cards, the cool thing about them is that they fold flat to go inside of their envelope. And each box card has a one-piece envelope that it fits into just perfectly, so that you can give it to someone as a regular card, and when they take it out and see how dimensional it is, it's always like a wow factor kind of project. So we also have a fun little like Celtic design here with some nice clovers and flowers, and I feel like you could really stamp whatever you want on the back. You know, you could make it for anything, if it's an anniversary, a birthday, congratulations, or just because, or thank you. However you want to put whatever kind of spin you want to put on your card, you can with the stamped sentiment on the back. So we also have some really pretty pansies, which I love, love, love. My mom always plants a little planter outside of pansies. It's like the first flower that you see at her house because she just loves them too. It's kind of the first flower I think that you can really get, at least here in the Midwest, in the States, come spring. So we also have a really cute little, kind of like a diorama style Easter egg, sort of like, I don't know, I've just seen these before that are decorative, whether they're cut out of a real egg or, you know, just something decorative. So I wanted to do a box card spin on that since it's a nice, nice and dimensional. So finally we have some pretty tulips, which are always nice to see popping up in the springtime. And I think it's really fun to pick your colors because there's so many different colors of tulips. If you wanted to have black, even black and red looks really cool. It's kind of different, or dark purple, or, you know, pastels. However you want to do it is going to look really cool. So as always, I have my nice helper. Again, she's up from her nap. So the paper that I used this time is beautiful. It's from Graphic 45, and this time it's called Children's Hour, and as usual it comes with the small pad, the medium size pad, and of course the 12 by 12. But the cool thing about this paper pad is each month has its own 2 pages. So for January it's pretty and snowy, and I just always love their vintage imagery that they use and the colors that they use. And the smaller pads coordinate, and this March paper is just gorgeous. So all the way through, you know, December, you know, back to school. Love it, love it, love it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm gonna need that paper. So, but like I always say, whatever kind of paper you have in mind that you wanna use is gonna look awesome. So I've got all my pieces cut out to show you how these cards go together, so let's get started. First of all, for our bird's nest box card, as you can see in your PDF document, which comes with your download, you can either look at this document on your computer screen, or you can look at it on, you know, print it out like this. You can look at it on your iPad. Whatever is the best way, the easiest way for you to look at it, it is going to help you put together your card. So you can see our nice dimensional card, which is just broken down into the outside box and then the inserts. And I've gone ahead and put the inserts here so that you can see exactly what gets glued where on each insert. So I went ahead and did that. So for insert number 1, it's this main piece with an egg behind it and this little nest detail on the top. And your machine will have cut a 1 into the side of this piece. I went ahead and darkened that in with a marker so that it's easier to see for this video. So the way that I got that effect on the eggs, since there are 3 eggs here, I did the same thing to all 3. I have some of these nice little handy dandy ink pad stacks. These are cat's eye shaped ink pads by Colorbox. And these, I think I got these on Amazon. You can also find them at the craft store. They're my favorite for doing this kind of inking, which is something that I do quite a bit. So all I did was rub that around the edge of the egg before I glued it onto the back of piece number 1. And for piece number 1, I actually used, whenever I want dimension, these come in a yellow and black box. It's by ThermoWeb, and they're called Zots, Z-O-T-S. And they're just sticky dimensional dots that you can use to affix things when you want them to have a little bit of dimension, a little bit of space in there. So that's piece number 1. I did the same inking and the same Zots behind the eggs on piece number 2. And then there's a decorative nest piece with some stuff coming up off the top, and then also a nest that's glued right onto this big yellow piece for number 2. And again, you can see all of this laid out nicely here for each card in your PDF, which is called the Springtime Box Cards menu. It comes right in your download. So then finally for piece number 3, there's a large piece glued onto the back, which again, I used those Zots to add some dimension when I put that on the back side of this yellow piece. Then I put this piece on top. It has this little decorative stuff coming off of it. So then we also have the 2 main parts of the box itself. In my case, they're pale yellow. And as you can see, I went ahead and folded them. I folded the flaps down and I glued my decorative panels onto each flap, as well as this decorative panel here. And then this trim, which is the same color as the box card itself. And it's 2 layers. Each, 2 layers here, 2 layers here, 2 layers here, 2 layers here. And these are identical. Those trims are identical. And then I glued this right in the middle. And this shape here actually kind of comes to some corners down here. So you don't want to turn it the other way. You want it to be going this way with kind of the sharp edges down here. So again, it's more rounded up here for this piece, the trim, and this. And then it's kind of has more corners here, here, and here, as well as on that side. So once you've got those pieces together like that, we can go ahead and glue these together side to side. So first I'm going to grab this smaller piece and glue this larger piece to the smaller piece like this. Just like so. And you want to line it up really nicely, nice and straight. And then I'm going to take my back panel decoration, which as you can see here in the PDF, it shows you that just goes right there on the inside of the back. So I can go ahead and glue that right onto the back. So as you can see, I went ahead and glued the 2 big pieces together, since this big green piece hides that tab back there. Then we can go ahead and close it up with some glue on that tab. And now we have the outside box of our box card. We have our 3 inserts, and all that's left is the pretty decoration that goes on this front flap. So that's a branch with some other stuff on top of it and the flowers. So I've got all that right here. and I've got some of it already glued together. So the main part of it is this green piece, that's the back side. Then I glued this tan colored grassy piece on top. And then I also glued, there's a yellow bottom in my case with a brown top. That's going to get glued right here. We can go ahead and glue that on right into place. And then we have this brown branch which gets glued. This is the back side of the one whole green piece. There's a brown branch glued right onto it, and I went ahead and glued some of these leaves into place. So I'm going to go ahead and finish gluing those. There are eight little leaves, and they're nice and reinforced. They're all slightly different shapes, so you can tell which one goes where by process of elimination. And after you glue it into place, it looks pretty cute if you kind of pinch it in half so that it has some nice dimension. Just a nice gentle little fold there. Looks really cool. So I'm going to finish gluing this last leaf into place. And, oops, the right direction. And then we can put our flowers into place. So I went ahead and put two of them together. They're held together with a nice little brad. And for the leaves, or the petals rather, I took some more of my handy dandy cat's eye ink pads from Colorbox. If you want, you could take some kind of marker and kind of color that in the center. Either way I think looks really cool. It looks like more of a pansy if you do it with the marker. This way is more of just a random flower. And then all three petals are identical, so it doesn't matter which way they go. Go ahead and feed the brad through there, and then just gently kind of curve them like this. And then we can put that right through the hole there. So just slide that guy right into place. And it doesn't matter which way, however you want to turn them so that you think it looks nice is perfect. So the next thing we can do is glue these inserts into place. And it doesn't really matter which order you go in. I suppose I usually start with one and go on to the back, so front to back. So I've got insert number one here with these tabs folded towards me. And I'm going to put that right inside with the top of the tab flush with the top of the box and the front of the tab flush with the front of the box. And once it's in place, before it's completely dry, it's nice to fold it back and forth both ways to make sure that it's going to fold flat. Then we can go ahead and do the same thing with insert number two. Fold those towards you. And glue that right into place. Again, with the top of the tab flush with the top of the box, and the front of the tab flush with the piece in front of it. And then fold it both ways to make sure it'll fold flat. And then again, piece number three with the tabs folded away from you, and just slide that right into place. And you could probably guess that again we want those tabs, the top of the tab flush with the top of the box, and the back of the tab flush with the back of the box. And before it's totally dry, do a double check, make sure it's going to fold flat. Looks great. And now we want to glue this pretty much just kind of centered right there. You could glue it, or you could again I always like to use these if possible because dimension is never a bad thing with paper crafts, especially with something that's nature like this. So I put some three-dimensional dots on the back and glue that guy right into place. So finally, for the envelope, nice little one-piece envelope. And for each of these cards, this curved piece here is the bottom. So I'm going to put a little line of glue down each side and a little line of glue up the side. And as you can see, I'm leaving this space free of glue. There we go, nice envelope. And now, which way? I think it's about the same size no matter which way I fold it. So there, oh, this way is a little bit narrower. That's going to fit perfectly. So that's the cool thing about the box card, is that it folds flat to go inside its envelope. So it's like a regular card, but once it pops open, it's so much more than a regular card. Next, for our Easter egg box card, once again, as you can see, I've got the embellishment layout for the inserts in your PDF document. And then I also included a layout of insert number 1, since it does have so many nice layers, which I think is what makes it look so nice. So there's two, in my case, there's 2 white layers, then there's a tan colored layer behind that, which is a little hard to see, but it adds a nice touch. And then an egg-shaped larger piece on top of this main piece. So again, your machine will have cut a number 1, also a number 2, number 3 into each piece. And I just darkened that in with a marker for this video to make it easier to see. So we also have insert number 2 here, which is just a yellow piece with a green layer underneath it, and then a white bunny and an egg on top. And for each little egg, I went ahead and took one of my fun little ink pads. I got these on Amazon. They've also got them at the craft store. And I just rubbed that around the outside of my egg, since it was a peach colored egg. And I did the same thing. I did a little green around here, some brown, some orange on those. Just makes them look rounder and just prettier. So they're on top of a green layer, which is on top of insert number 3. And again, you can see all of that in your PDF document, whether you print it out or you look at it on your computer screen or on your iPad. So we've also got the back here. The inside of the back has a yellow layer and a nice little panel. And then on the back, there's a white area you can stamp something on, and we've got panels on the back, as well as a panel here on the front and our flowers, which we'll get to here in just a second. And then the rest of the box card has these 2 panels here, and these flaps fold down with panels on them. So we can go ahead and fold this guy into place with some glue on it. Glue that into place there. And then we can go ahead and put some glue on this whole back side here, and then carefully line that up with the bottom. So if you look closely, you can see that the 2 bottom edges line up just right. Once you've got them lined up nicely, you can lay it down flat and push down from the inside. Make sure it's taking hold nicely. And then I went ahead and put 2 of my flowers on this guy. And each flower has 3 petals. All the petals are the same. And I took an ink pad and just rubbed that on the inside of each petal. And the messier the better. I think it looks really pretty, even if they're not all the same. You don't have to be really meticulous unless you want to be. That's fine. You could also take a marker and color that in a little bit if you wanted to. So I put a brad through the centers, and then I'm folding each little petal before I put the brad through the whole in the flower, or the hole on the front there. So all 3 of my flowers are in place. I can go ahead and put some glue on the front there, and then line this up carefully on the front. And again, you can see that for both pieces, the bottoms line up just right. Once you've got it in place how you want it, you can go ahead and push down from the inside to make sure it's taking hold. And then we can go ahead and put our inserts in place. So you can go 1 through 3 front to back, or 3 through 1 back to front. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna go a little buck wild here and start with number 3. And those tabs are folded away from you. And we want the front of the tab, or the top of the tab, flush with the top of the box, and the back of each tab flush with the back of the box. Just to make sure it's nice and perpendicular inside there. And before it's completely dry, you want to fold it carefully both ways to make sure that it's going to fold flat. Then we can take piece number 2 here with the tabs folded away from you. And again, you want the top of the tab flush with the top of the box, and the back of the tab flush with the piece behind it. Nice and perpendicular. And again, before it's completely dry, fold it flat both ways to make sure it's going to fold flat nicely. And then finally, insert number 1 with the tabs folded towards you, and carefully slide that in with the same concept. The top of the tab flush with the top of the box, and the front of each tab flush with the front of the box. And once it's in a good place, go ahead and carefully fold it both ways to make sure it'll fold flat. And then you've got your envelope here, which I went ahead and glued together. You just fold all 4 flaps in, and the one that's rounded is actually the bottom. So again, that's a nice thing about the box card. Folds flat, goes inside its nice envelope just perfectly. It's a nice wow factor card. Next, for our Lucky Clovers box card, again, I've got the PDF here, and I have the layouts of the inserts. So there's an insert in the front, there's just one insert, and then there's the back. So I've got those laid out here. I went ahead and started to put some of them together, but for each flower, all I did was gently pinch each petal in half, as well as for each clover. I think that adds some nice dimension. And I also have a dark green ink pad, which I just kind of carefully, well, not so carefully, just like pretty haphazardly, kind of just rub that around the edge of most of those clovers, which you don't have to do, but I think it looks really cool and adds to the dimension. So I went ahead and took my inside front insert here, and I glued just the centers of these 2 into place. And then I glued this little piece here. I don't normally have such small pieces in my projects, but I just couldn't resist because it looks nice and it looks pretty. So we can glue that guy into place. And then for this one, I went ahead and glued these 2 by their centers and this one by its center. And I did line them up pretty nicely, but if you kind of twist them and turn them and don't line them up so nicely, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think whatever you think looks nice is going to look great. And since it is like a natural thing, if it's a little wild, I think there's nothing wrong with that. So as you can see, I've got this flower here, which it's got its skinny part up there. It's 2 layers. Over here next, we also have 2 flowers which are turned the opposite way. So these 2 guys are going the same direction, facing that way. This guy is identical, but it's facing this way. And as you can see, it just goes perfectly right here. So I'm going to glue that into place. And like I said, I've got my other clovers in place. And if you want, you can kind of bend some of these carefully in half too, which looks cool. So there's the insert. And now finally we've got our two flowers, our two clovers. We've got this piece here, and this is the back. So as you can see, there's a panel on the back with a white panel in the middle, which I stamped on. And I folded the bottom up and glued that into place. Then on this side, we can go ahead and kind of curve some of these. That looks nice. You can't go wrong with too much dimension, especially if it's a box card and especially if it's, you know, something that's natural. And then, just like that last flower I did, I went ahead and glued these two flowers into place. First we want to glue these side pieces. Okay. There are two side pieces that look like this. They're identical, and then there's two side panels which are also identical. So first you want to glue them into place so that their edges are lined up here and they're lined up at the bottom. So we can go ahead and glue these two. We want to glue the two sides onto the back before we put that back panel into place. So now that those two sides are glued to the back, we can go ahead and glue our nice big pretty back panel into place right onto the center. And just kind of gently glue those down into place. Don't have to put any glue on the stems, they can just have some glue behind the flowers there. And then we can take a look and see, this one's also got a clover down here, a clover, a flower, and another flower and another clover. So it really does not need to be identical to mine. However you want to do it is going to look really cool. I have it laid out in the PDF to show you. This is really just a suggestion. I mean, you can do that if you would like, but it does not need to be exactly like that. So I'm pretty much following the PDF here, but I'm not perfectly following it, which is perfectly fine. So the next thing we can do is take a look at the front, and I went ahead and glued this is the front like this. I went ahead and folded the bottom up, glued a strip onto it, folded the top down. Doesn't need any glue, it just gets folded in those two spots with the strip. And then this pretty decorative element just goes right on the front. Then we can glue the sides to the front the same way that we glued the sides to the back. Being careful to line it up nicely so it's flush here and the bottom is lined up also. And we can glue this side into place like so. So there is the box part of our card, and then we can take our insert with some glue on those tabs folded away from you and glue that right into place. So the top of the tab is flush with the top of the box and the back of the tab is flush with the back of the box. And before it's completely dry, it's nice to fold it both ways to make sure it's going to fold flat. And then we can put some glue on the bottom of this insert here and glue that into place right on the inside right behind the front of our box. And again, the nice envelope here, I went ahead and folded all 4 flaps in, and then this rounded flap is the bottom. So once again, your nice card will fit perfectly inside of its envelope. Either way you fold it. This way, if you fold it this way, it's going to fit even better. Next, for our Pansies box card, once again, I've got the insert layouts here shown in your PDF. So you can take a look, and if you want to make yours exactly like mine, you can. If you want to change it up, that's totally fine, because you could kind of interchange where the flowers are and everything. Totally up to you. But if you want to do it exactly how I did it, it does show you that there. So I went ahead and I put together the inside front insert, just like you see in your PDF. We're gonna do this number 1 insert together, and then I went ahead and I did insert number 2, which looks just like it does in the PDF. And then I also did the back panel decoration, which looks just like in the PDF also. Then there are a couple more pieces that I'll get to in just a minute, but first, let's take a look at the flowers. So for the large flowers, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 large yellow ones in my case, and 1, 2, 3 large white ones. So the large flowers have 5 petals each, and the smaller flowers are just 3 petals, and then there are a couple little buds. Not that you need to know or remember any of that, but there's a handful of large flowers. So for both of them, really you can do it however you want. But here's what I did. I took a marker and I just kind of haphazardly just kind of drew some stuff on it. So for my yellow petals, I took a brown marker, and all I did is I just went like this, just a couple little lines. And actually when I did it, I was even more careless, and I just kind of was like real quick with my marker. So if you want to lay out your petals, if you want to keep them grouped, the way that they come off your cutting mat, they're kind of grouped how they're going to go together. If you would like to keep them that way to make it easier, you can, but you don't have to. But each large flower has a kind of a wide bottom, 2 smaller ones that go next, and then 2 taller petals on the top. So that's a large flower. And if yours is white and you want to color it in with a purple marker, that's what I did for my other large flowers. So then the same thing goes for the smaller flowers, which are just 3 petals. And I didn't have a purple marker. I had to run out to Michael's just for a purple marker. And of course, I got some other random stuff, something that I'm excited to use for my next kit. So I just did the same thing. And on these purple flowers, you can't see on the purple on purple as much, but I did the same thing with my purple marker. So I think brown on yellow and then purple on white and purple on purple looks really nice. So as far as the brads go, for my original card I used all yellow brads, and I started to run out of them. And then I got some more yellow brads, I started to run out of those again. So I actually used some purple on my purple center flowers this time, which I think looks great. So my point is, once again, whatever you want to do is probably going to look really pretty. So if you want to go all yellow, you can, but no cause for stress or anything. If you don't have enough yellow brads, just pick another color that's, kind of in your color scheme and go with it. Or sometimes what even works is coloring in a white brad with a marker, which I have done in a craft pinch before. So as you can see, I'm just putting my brad through the center of each flower or each petal, and I am just gently curving each petal in half. Doesn't have to be uniform or meticulous. You can be if you want to, but if you want to go kind of more freeform and more wild, I think that's usually a safe bet, and especially if it's a natural thing like a flower. So for the large flowers, first I want to put it through this wide petal at the bottom, Then next, the 2 smaller petals. And if you flip-flop them, doesn't matter, not the end of the world. If each flower is a little different, I think that's a good thing. So it's really just your personal style. If you want to be meticulous and careful, or if you want to get a little crazy, whatever makes you happy is totally cool. So there is my insert number 1. And once again, your machine will have cut a 1 and a 2 into these pieces. And I went ahead and darkened that in with a marker for this video. So for these guys, you want to just bend that in half and put some glue on the back side of it and glue that right into place. If you look closely at your PDF, it shows you which direction it's going in, which side, whether this part is on the top or on the bottom. If you want to look carefully and do it the same way, you can, but if you flip-flop them around and put them on differently, it still looks beautiful, and I don't think it matters. So there's a little piece that goes on top like this, like so. So there are our inserts, and here is the body of the box card. Here's one piece. I folded the front over, and I put my panel down here, here, and on the side. And then, of course, my back panel's in place, as well as these back panels here. And to cover up these brads, you can glue these random brown pieces into place if you would like to cover those up. I think it's a nice finishing touch. Then we can go ahead and glue this into place, like so, and then glue the other side into place. And then all that's going to be left to do is put our inserts into place. So to do that, we can go ahead and kind of bend these up out of the way. Put some glue on the bottom of this guy. And glue that right into the front and center of our box card. And then for insert number 1, we want those tabs folded towards you with some glue on them. And glue those right into place with the top of the tab flush with the top of the box and the front of the tab flush with the front of the box. Then we can go ahead and put some glue on the tabs of insert number 2 with those tabs folded away from you, and glue those right inside with the top of the tab flush with the top of the box and the back of the tab flush with the back of the box on both sides. And before it's completely dry, you would want to fold it both ways carefully to make sure it's going to fold flat. If you see any other little areas, like some more leaves that you would like to bend in half, you can do that. And that is it. So then for the envelope, once again, I went ahead and folded all 4 flaps in. And then this bottom flap here, which is round, is the bottom. So again, your nice pretty card goes in there nice and securely, ready to pop out with all kinds of dimension for whoever you give it to. Last but not least, for our Tulips box card, again in the PDF I've got the inserts shown here as well as the back panel. So this one is pretty straightforward as far as the tulips go. Each tulip is made of 3 parts, larger, medium, and smaller. So to get that nice effect with the ink there, I took my handy dandy little cat's eye shaped ink pad and rubbed that around each one. So if you want to save some time like I did, for the bottom, I just put the ink on the top, and then for the tiny one, I put it all the way around the edge, and then for this one, I just kind of put it on the top a little bit. I picked orange because it just goes with the peach and the yellow, looks really nice. So the only difference between the peach, in my case peach versus yellow, is they're just flip-flop images of each other. So what I want to do is, I have the medium-sized piece here, and that gets glued right on top of the large piece. Then I can take my small piece with the pointier side going up and put that on the other side. So I've already got most of them glued together. I'll just finish the rest of these up. Again, the medium-sized piece on top of the large piece, then the smaller piece pointy side up on the other side. And again, I don't think you can really mess it up. As long as they're pretty much like that, it's going to look really nice. So you can look at your PDF if you want to see how I did mine. I went ahead and I folded most of these leaves. I kind of folded in half a little bit gently. First, on the back of insert number 1, as you can see here, it says has reinforced back. There's an extra piece that you're going to have cut out, and that goes right on the back side. Then 2 and 3 are fine just how they are, with the leaves gently folded in half a little bit with the flowers glued on. And if you look closely, you can see that each one kind of slopes. All the ones in my case that are peach kind of slope off to one side, the yellow slopes off to the other side. So if you want to use that as a guideline, you can just see where they go without having to look at your PDF if you want. So I can go ahead and finish gluing these guys into place. And to do that, I might as well just go ahead and put some glue on all those. And let's see, which way is this going? Goes that way. And so on. And there we go. Nice and pretty, and I think that ink really adds a really nice touch. It just defines the edges. So now we've got a number here on the bottom. Your machine will have cut these numbers, and I just darkened those in with a marker just for this video to make it easier to see. So then we've also got the box part of our card in this case, which is a cute little fence. And you can go ahead and glue your fence into place. So I'm just going to put some glue on like this, fold that up right into place. Nice and easy and straightforward. Fold that guy up. And then I went ahead and did the same thing with this piece. And I also went ahead on the back and put this back panel, another back panel, and then the white, which I stamped on. And then we can go ahead and glue this into place like so. Lay it down flat and glue our back panel into place. My glue is starting to not want to come out so nice. And then we can go ahead and close the loop up, so to speak. I'm going to put some glue on this tab on the side, close up the box. So now we've got our box shape and our inserts, which is really the basis of every box card. So what I'm going to do is fold the tabs towards me on piece number 1 and glue that right into place. And we want that tab to be hidden behind the fence And we want the front of the tab flush with the front of the box. And before it's completely dry, you want to fold it both ways and make sure it's going to fold flat. Then we're going to put these both in the same way, number 2 and number 3, just nice and evenly spaced out, hidden behind the fence. So you want to slide that into place. You want the front of it flush with the one in front of it, and you want it to be hidden behind the fence. And before it's totally dry, fold it flat both ways to make sure it'll fold down. And then finally, same thing for insert number 3. These tabs are folded away from you, and you want to carefully put that into place with that tab nice and perpendicular, hidden back there behind the fence. And the back of those tabs are flush with the back of the box. So there we go. Make sure it folds flat both ways, and there is your pretty, pretty box card. And then for the Tulips box card envelope, again, I went ahead and folded all 4 flaps in, and this bottom flap here is the only one that's round, so you know that's the bottom. So there you have it, really fun projects for spring, some nice new box cards. I hope you have a blast making them, and if you do, you'll have to share a picture on our Facebook wall, or put it on your blog and pin it on Pinterest, or upload it to Instagram. However you like to share it, I always love to see, and so do the rest of our crafty friends. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time, and happy crafting.